Hello and welcome to another video. This is the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight review. So this past weekend, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao finally met off in the fight dubbed the fight of the century for the WBA, WBC, WBO and Ring Magazine welterweight titles. Everyone knows about this fight for the last 5 or 6 years, so there's no point me going into detail about the fight, the description, because everyone knows who both of these fighters are, why it's taken so long, all the story and ins and outs of it. So I'm just going to go right into the fight. I thought the fight was quite disappointing, considering the exposure from 5-6 years ago to now, all the in-depth analysis, all the documentaries, loads of money that made from the fight. It was quite disappointing in my opinion. I couldn't really watch the fight properly when it was live on Saturday, but I've managed to watch it a couple more times after, and my feelings hasn't really changed. Pacquiao was quite poor. I think he could have done a lot better in the fight. Mayweather wasn't at his best, but he still looked far better than Pacquiao did in performance-wise. Pacquiao looked like he'd aged quite a lot in the course of a few rounds. For first half of the fight, he looked okay. He was having success in the odd round here and there. I think round 4 and 6 was his best rounds, but from round 6 to 12, he didn't look like the Manny Pacquiao that I've seen in previous fights, and of course the Manny Pacquiao that obviously you've seen. I don't know what it was. Maybe he overtrained. Maybe he's getting older. He's 36. He looked quite decent in his last previous performances against Tim Bradley and Chris Algieri. Maybe the occasion got to him. Who knows? But I think Manny Pacquiao won't be very happy with his performance. Mayweather on the other hand, as I said, it wasn't his greatest performance, but he did enough. He has been criticised heavily over the internet about his tactics of running and clinching as well, which I did think Kenny Bayless, referee, could have done a lot better with the continuous holding and pushing down on Pacquiao's head that Mayweather was doing, but he never brought it up, because I don't think in his head, in Kenny Bayless' head, he didn't do it a number of times to warrant a point deduction or a serious warning. Mayweather again did what he had to do, like the way he normally fights, and people were criticising the way he fights, but people forget Floyd Mayweather never bows down to his opponent's style. He fights the way he wants to fight, so you can't really moan about that. And you have to appreciate the fact that he's definitely the best fighter of my generation. I'm only 21, so far I've seen some good fighters, but Floyd Mayweather is definitely the highest. The best fighter I've seen in my generation. It's a shame because Manny Pacquiao could have done a lot better in this fight. And I know it's quite cliche to say, oh, it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Manny Pacquiao would have brought a lot more to the table. That's probably the case. Back in 2009, 2010, Manny Pacquiao was a lot different. He would throw more combinations, more active, his footwork was better, he would buzz in and out, throw all his punches from wide angles, and gradually, as the years have gone on, he's done that, but not as actively, and doesn't have a lot of power as well, which is obviously a big issue, because Manny Pacquiao, one of his big factors is power and speed, and in this fight it didn't look like he even had power. There was one bit where he had Mayweather on the ropes and he was throwing a big flurry of punches to Mayweather's body, and Mayweather just shook his head saying no. So you clearly tell the punches had no effect on Mayweather. I know he was quite tough, but I think if this was a while ago, Pacquiao would have had a lot more power on those punches. It was a great spectacle. I mean, it wasn't the most worst fight I've ever seen. It was quite poor for the standard of the occasion. It wasn't the worst fight, but I do think Mayweather has had tougher fights. I think the Maidana fight was a lot more tougher in the first fight. Maidana was able to get in and rough him up, throw a lot of shots to the head and body, and yeah, Mayweather did beat him in the end and in his rematch. But Pacquiao could have done a lot more damage, as his name suggests. It was Manny Pacquiao, a great fighter, power, speed, everything, and didn't do that. So Mayweather won the fight by unanimous decision. You can't really argue with the decision. I mean, Pacquiao won maybe 4 rounds best in my view. Obviously people can disagree with that or agree, but Pacquiao could have done a lot better for it. Freddie Roach, yet again, all these claims that he had this game plan, he's been studying for 5 years, and the game plan I didn't know what the game plan was. Pacquiao looked quite confused at times, didn't know what he was doing. There's a couple of times where Pacquiao could have gone in for the kill, and he just kept bouncing around, and there was a bounce on his toes, didn't know what he was doing, and I thought the game plan kind of backfired if there was a game plan, and I don't think the game plan, if there was one, was executed correctly. So Freddie Roach didn't do well on his part, but then again Manny Pacquiao didn't do great on his part. So it was a poor night for the whole Pacquiao camp. So Mayweather, as I said, won the unanimous decision. He now improves to 48-0 with no defeats, 6 knockouts, and adds the WBO belt to his current WBC, WBA and Ring Magazine belts. After the fight, Manny Pacquiao did say he had a shoulder injury, and I don't like fighters saying excuses, because it kind of overshadows the fight, and it kind of makes you think, did Pacquiao, was that an excuse or was that legitimate? Of course it's legitimate. Manny Pacquiao is known for someone to make excuses if he loses, but I do think having that injury obviously had dropped his performance massively down. Who knows if he was 100%, but we never know, because the rematch won't ever get secured in my opinion, because Mayweather dominated Pacquiao quite easily and the scoreline suggests that, so I don't think there'll be a rematch. And Mayweather has one more left, and I think he'll probably go for someone like Amir Khan or maybe someone less dangerous, but who knows. I mean, Mayweather could end up fighting at like middleweight, or might fight one of the bigger names over there, who knows. Mayweather has stated as well he will vacate his welterweight titles, because he wants other champions or other fighters to have a go. He doesn't want to be greedy. I think that's kind of a good thing, because Mayweather is 30 years old and he has to vacate his belt sometime. So I think it's kind of a good gesture that he's vacated his belts. For Manny Pacquiao, obviously disappointing. He's 36. He's had a great career, one of the best for my generation. One of the most exciting fighters I've seen. But I'm not sure where he can go now. I mean, he's lost one of his biggest fights of his career. 6th defeat of his career. I'm not sure where he can go. Maybe he can rebuild and have a couple more fights. But if he would retire now, obviously I think he'd be quite disappointed. But I think if he had a few more fights to get that Mayweather loss out of his record, obviously it'd still be there. But I think if he had a few more fights, it would maybe cement his claims to be one of the better fighters in the welterweight division and in the world. He's still one of the best fighters in the world, but that loss has kind of decreased his popularity, like his claim for one of the best fighters in the world. If he did retire, it's a great fighter, great seeing him over the years. If he did carry on, I'll happily watch him. I'm a Pacquiao fan after all, and I'll support him to the end. But yeah, overall the fight was okay. Nothing like I was before with Barefoot, but a lot more interesting, a lot more exciting. Congratulations Mayweather for another victory. Easily the best fighter of my generation. So I hope you enjoyed this Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather fight review. If you did, give a like and comment. I'll see you in the next video.